G'day and welcome to Golden Rule Day. This is the second annual 24-hour webcast brought to you by 5 global organisations: the Golden Rule Project, Charter for Compassion, the United Religions Initiatives, Grandmothers Global Healing and Pragati Leadership. My name's Terry Ayling and I'm part of the Australian Compassion Council team and the Compassionate Cities League. Our team is committed to making Australia a continent for compassion by 21 September 2021. Over the next 24 hours, you're going to hear some remarkable stories about people helping people, efforts to care for Mother Earth and its inhabitants, including animals, and individual performances to lighten our hearts and challenge our thinking, and in giving us hope. Anytime during the programming, we'd like you to visit the goldenruleday.org website to sign 2 different charters and 2 pledges. The Golden Rule Pledge, a recognition of acting on behalf of others; the Charter for Compassion, affirming the words and works of the Charter; the Green World Charter, recognising the possibility of regreening the earth in 1 generation; and the Peace Pledge, an effort of belief and action that we can act differently when confronted with pressing problems. We need everyone's enthusiastic support and involvement, and appreciate your recognition of transforming our behaviour to act on behalf of self, others and the earth. We begin Golden Day with a visit to Japan, New Zealand and my homeland Australia. Watch Golden Rule Day as it is being broadcast, or come back and watch segments you missed during the day. You'll be able to visit the goldenday.org website and see the entire programming for April 2019 and from last year as well. Thanks for joining us. Encourage others to join us well, and enjoy your journey through Golden Rule Day.
We are in Central Park asking people what they think the Golden Rule is and why it's important.
The Golden Rule?
Yes.
The Golden Rule, wow. The Golden Rule, what is it?
I don't know.
Okay.
The Golden Rule. I've never heard of that. I don't know.
The Golden Rule.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I don't know it.
I have not heard of the Golden Rule.
You've never heard of the Golden Rule?
I don't remember what it is.
The Golden Rule?
Yes.
Of anything? That's very deep and profound, isn't it?
It's do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Bingo.
Okay, I believe it's the ability to coexist with others by treating the way that we want it to be treated.
The Golden Rule is treat others as you would like to be treated as yourself, correct?
Golden Rule, it's a rule that was actually made by Confucius. And the main issues of the Confucianism is that you should respect the elderly people and actually respect everyone.
Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
I believe, what is it, Hillel said?
Yes?
When asked to explain the Torah while standing on one leg, said, the Torah says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The rest is commentary. Go learn it.
The Golden Rule, when I was taught in elementary, a simple answer would be treat people the way you treat yourself.
Oh man, that's it. In a divided world full of conflict and mistrust, a grassroots movement has emerged to remind every person on the planet that we share one thing in common: the Golden Rule. Treat others and the planet as you would like to be treated. These words are found in sacred texts of most organized religions throughout history. In 2007, URI Africa and Interfaith Peacebuilding Initiative declared April 5th as Golden Rule Day in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and called upon all citizens of the world to join them in proclaiming the day and living every day according to the teaching of the Golden Rule in order to make our world better and more peaceful for all. Since then, about 700 organizations in 165 countries have joined in proclaiming Golden Rule Day each year. The first 24-hour global webinar celebrating the Golden Rule took place April 5th, 2018. It was organized by 4 international NGOs: the Golden Rule Project, United Religions Initiative, Charter for Compassion, and the Grandmothers Global Healing Movement. More than 30 organizations across the world served as participating partners, organizing events and providing video content for the webcast, which was transmitted live on the goldenruleday.org website and Facebook Live. The international webcast began with world peace prayers offered for 193 countries by the Goi Peace Foundation in Japan, an interview with Australia megastar Lior, and the playing of the Compassion Symphony. A discussion on kindness led by Indian pop singer Nemo Patel.
Thinking what's the reason why we holding back from being kind? What's the disease? But then I sense we are fine. It'll all happen one small step at a time.
And music and messages from reggae superstar Peto Banton.
One God, one aim, one destiny, which means that we're all God's children, brothers and sisters.
In South Africa, college students of different races shared stories of how problems with race remain, but with hard work, society will change. In Monterrey, Mexico, the Charter for Compassion chapter shared how they encourage government, business, schools, media, and families to build a more just and sensitive society to human suffering by tirelessly seeking true peace.
Impulsa a trabajar incansablemente para aliviar el sufrimiento de nuestros semejantes.
Para destronarnos a nosotros mismos del centro de nuestro mundo y poner a otro ahí.
In the United Kingdom, an interview focused on the importance of the Golden Rule to care for the earth. Students from the Middle East, Pakistan, and India shared thoughts on kindness despite differences in religion.
भगवान और अल्लाह में फर्क क्या है?
मेरे ख्याल से वो सारे एक ही है, सिर्फ उनके नाम अलग.
Faith leaders from most of the world's major religions, along with shamans and indigenous spiritual leaders, added their voices to fully demonstrate how the Golden Rule is universal. Ella Gandhi, granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi, shared, "May this day reverberate throughout the world and cause real ripples of change, which must start with us."
In this day and age, if we practice that a little more freely, things might change.
Well, this is Golden Rule Day, and we remember that in every single one of the major world religions, the core of religiosity, the test of true spirituality, is always to treat all others as we would wish to be treated ourselves. We have to look into our own hearts, discover what gives us pain, and then refuse under any circumstance whatsoever to inflict that pain on anybody else. As Confucius said, it has to be done all day and every day, not just when we feel like it. Sometimes in England we have a habit of saying when we've done something nice for somebody, well, that's my good deed for the day, as though we could return for the next 23 hours to our usual life of unkindness and bitterness and selfishness, but all day and every day to dethrone ourselves from the center of our world and put another there. And basically the world needs compassion. We're living in a very polarized world which is full of hatred and suspicion and violence. And unless now we learn to implement the Golden Rule globally so that we treat all nations, all peoples, as we would wish to be treated ourselves, we're not going to have a viable world. And that's why it was so important when Ambassador Musi Hailo made this Golden Rule Days to remind us of this fact, to remind us of the centrality and importance of what the Charter for Compassion is trying to do, which is to raise awareness and bring compassion back to the center of moral, spiritual, private and public life, so that we can build a global community where all peoples are treated with respect.
Attention! Attention! Can I have your attention, please?
It's urgent!
Urgent! It's urgent!
This is
an urgent message
from your children!
I feel really scared. The environment is kind of just getting torn apart. There's pollution, global warming, and people are just not caring about it. Nature is getting destroyed. I mean, there's a bunch of logging, there's water pollution, there's air pollution. I'm really concerned about fracking because I don't have no good water to drink.
Pipelines with gas inside, they can also explode.
And some people are throwing garbage in the ocean that makes the ocean polluted. So animals are also getting sick and can die out there. If animals are getting extinct, one day we're gonna get extinct if you don't stop. This makes me feel mad. It makes me feel upset. I think it's terrible. I feel ashamed because so far very few people are doing something about it. We'll be sad because we don't have anywhere else to live.
I'm worried that this generation will be ruined and there will be nothing left for the next generation.
If this keeps going, well, the whole world is really gonna collapse. Just give me a minute, please.
If we don't stop this, it will lead to a global disaster or even the destruction of Earth.
If we destroy all of this, then we'll have no other planet to live on. People act like it's nothing and it won't affect them, but soon it will.
Sometime in the future, I may be dead, I may not. It's going to affect us all in some horrible way. And so if we do something now, then maybe we can stop that from happening.
I would want to do something about it, though the people who really have that power don't really care.
It's not like there's an unstoppable force doing this to us. We can choose not to, do this to the planet and the environment.
I want to live in a world where children could look out the window and not see a sea of sadness, but somewhere where things thrive.
We're probably gonna have to, evolve.
Hey kids!
Hey kids!
Want to help us get the word out?
Will you join us? Go to weyourchildren.org.
weyourchildren.org.
And upload your own video.
Upload your own video. Add your voice.
Tell your adults how you feel.
Tell your adults how you feel.
Tell your adults how you feel.
And tell your friends to join us too.
If we can get 1 million kids,
1 million kids!
To add their voice,
then grown-ups will have to listen.
The grown-ups will have to listen.
Go to weyourchildren.org.
weyourchildren.org.
We are your children.
We are your children.
The Golden Rule Project in any way. I was taught that as a young person and believe in it still. And I'm a singer and a songwriter and also a music educator. I work with young children, preschool age children, so that's 5 and under. And I also do workshop trainings for teachers. And what I always try to do through music is, number one, make sure adults and children know that they are music makers, that enjoying music isn't just about pressing a button and listening to someone else sing. I'm always happy to sell my music to people, but there's nothing like live performance and getting a group of willing individuals to sing and dance. I feel like these are primal talents that all of us have. So through my music, I try to get people singing and dancing, and I also try to share positive messages. And my latest song is called One Little Act of Kindness. And for sure, this is a song I wrote in response to the acts of unkindness that we're seeing throughout our country and throughout the world. So I'm speaking to you on Saturday, March 16th. And yesterday was, a terrible event in New Zealand. And people citing other acts of unkindness around the world, and especially coming from our country. So I do look at my small role as being an ambassador, and I'm an ambassador through music and through children. I want to get to them early to say that you are powerful. My song, Peace in My Fingers, I've Got Peace in My Fingers, was written for preschoolers to make them feel strong. I've got peace in my fingers, watch what I can do. I have words in my head, good words, watch what I can do. And I have love in my heart, watch what I can do. I'm happy to say that song has traveled the world. And so my little song has become this ambassador. When I travel to other countries, I also want people to understand that people in this country, in the United States, are good and kind people, just like I understand that people all over the world are mostly good and mostly kind and mostly treat others as they would like to be treated. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the music, and you can find me on the web, and I wish you peace. One little act of kindness can go a long, long way. Two little acts of kindness can brighten anyone's day. Three little acts of kindness can make a beautiful sound. Many acts of kindness help the world go round. One little loving word can go a long, long way. Two little loving words can brighten anyone's day. Three little loving words can make a beautiful sound. Many loving words help the world go round. One little seed sown can go a long, long way. Two little seeds sown can brighten anyone's day. Three little seeds sown can make a beautiful sound. Many seeds sown help the world go around. One little child's laughter can go a long, long way. Two little children's laughter can brighten anyone's day. Three little children's laughter can make a beautiful sound. Many children laughing help the world go round. And many seeds sown help the world go round. Many loving words help the world go round. And many acts of kindness help the world go round.
I've got peace, peace, peace in my fingers, watch what I can do. I've got peace, peace, peace in my fingers, I'm gonna shake hands with you. I've got peace, peace, peace in my fingers, watch what I can do. I've got peace, peace, peace in my fingers, I'm gonna shake hands with you. I've got words, words, words in my head, watch what I can do. I've got words, words, words in my head, I'm gonna talk things over with you. I've got words, words, words in my head, watch what I can do. I've got words, words, words in my head, I'm gonna talk things over with you. I've got love, love, love in my heart. Watch what I can do. I've got love, love, love in my heart. I'm gonna give some to you. I've got love, love, love in my heart. Watch what I can do. I've got love, love, love in my heart. I'm gonna give some to you. I've got a piece, piece, piece in my fingers. Words, words, words in my head. I got love, love, love in my heart. I'm gonna give some to you.
Dear partners of the Golden Rule Day, konnichiwa and big hug from Tokyo, Japan. We're the staff members of the Goi Peace Foundation. By the concept of the Golden Rule Day, treat others and the planet as you would like to be treated, we'd like to show you our video, Gratitude to Nature, representing the Goi group that consists of the Goi Peace Foundation, Byakko Shinkokai, and May Peace Prevail on Earth International. We'd like to join you to promote the Golden Rule Day, sending our gratitude to the earth and all lives on this planet with you, and so that the gratitude and the peace will flourish on this planet with no further delay. We hope you will like our video. May peace prevail on earth.
May peace prevail on earth.
Fellow participants of the Golden Rule Day, konnichiwa and big hello from the Goi Peace Foundation in Tokyo, Japan. According to treat others and the planet as you would like to be treated, the concept of the Golden Rule Day, we would like to present to you the video of the Universal Peace Prayer message, May Peace Prevail on Earth, representing the Goi group that is consisted of the Goi Peace Foundation, May Peace Prevail on Earth International, and Byakko Shinko Kai. We promote the Golden Rule Day, wishing that this message will be shared among all the people in the world, and that the world peace will come true as soon as possible. Please enjoy watching the video. May peace prevail on earth.
May peace prevail on earth.
Well-behaved students singing their school song. This is what we expect from the Japanese. But is it truly representative of life in a Tokyo school? And is there anything we can learn from Japan about how to promote a culture of respect in our schools? Much, however, remains as it's been for over 50 years. Children from the age of 6, when they start school, make their own way, in groups with other children, unaccompanied by parents. Signs along the roadside indicate that this is a route used by school children.
子どもたちが年長の子どもが年少の子どもを連れて学校に行くとか戻る時もそうする。
The older children accompanying the young to and from school. It's something we also did as children.
I think this is very good in terms of having contact with children of different ages. It's important to learn how to communicate and interact with children who are both older and younger than themselves. I
would really like to take him to school myself, but his friends come to pick him up and the children go to school on their own. I'm hoping that this will nurture a sense of independence.
Okay.
Suginami Daihachi Elementary is in central Tokyo. Here, as in schools across Japan, children are greeted each morning by their head teacher. Everyone bows in Japan. It's not a sign of a particularly formal relationship between the head and the pupils. When entering a school in Japan, everyone removes their shoes and puts on slippers.
I believe that all manners which are required for people to live together are founded on caring for and respecting each other. People can't live on their own. Therefore, we must learn how we can strive to improve our lives together as a group. If one person acts selfishly, this affects everyone else. So we encourage the children to think about how we can live in harmony with other people. This means being given duties and responsibilities.
Throughout Japan, children are in charge of the midday meal. It's one of the ways schools encourage a sense of duty and responsibility for others. They're organised into small work groups and perform their duties on a rota basis. At Suginami Daihachi Elementary, these 8 and 9-year-olds are old hands. They've been doing this since they started school.
In Japanese schools, the pupils serve the meals. It makes it feel more like a family affair. When the children dish out the meal for everyone, it makes it feel more united as a group. And the children are considerate and don't discriminate about who gets more or less and divide the food equally, so everyone can feel good about eating. And although there are times when it can be dangerous handling hot dishes and breaking glass, on the whole, the children seem to enjoy it very much. When I ask the children which they prefer, they say it is much more fun to have everyone dish out the meal.
They wait until everyone has been served before they start eating. This has been the routine for over 50 years. The Japanese Ministry of Education is trying to achieve a difficult balancing act. On the one hand, it's now acknowledging the need to help pupils develop as individuals. On the other hand, it doesn't wish to lose the tradition of respect and sense of public duty that's been a feature of Japanese society for generations.
The school has a very important role in trying to develop a kind of moral awareness of the students, and the Ministry of Education gives a lot of responsibility towards schools in raising the next generation of young people. So responsibility to teachers is quite heavy.
One of the ways schools are being encouraged to deal with this is to put extra emphasis on what here is called moral education. At Suginami Daihachi Elementary, the head teacher has taken on the important role of teaching moral education himself. Today's lesson's about a boy who's been promised a new pair of trainers by his mother if he consistently scores full marks in his daily spelling tests. He gets one answer wrong, but the teacher makes a mistake and gives him a score of 100%. The boy's dilemma is whether he should own up or get the trainers.
ね。だがそれは本当は違ってた。今日の狙いっていうのは嘘やごまかしっていうのは。
The aim of today's lesson is to try to learn to avoid lying and deceiving, as these actions will ultimately not bring a brighter future. It is important to acknowledge that under certain circumstances, people often become deceitful.
ああいうピンクの色に明朗誠実に生きなくちゃいけないってのは誰だって分かってる。でもなかなか生きらんないんだよね。どうしようって悩んでんだよね。その時にさ。
Should the boy own up or not? The children use cards to indicate how strongly they feel about the two courses of action. Some feel he should come clean, others aren't so sure.
はい、じゃあ2時間目の勉強終わります。
Moral education is not something that just happens in the classroom either. There are activities outside the classroom, especially children growing up in urban areas like Tokyo. There's a feeling that the children have become separated from nature, and this has had a detrimental effect on the students' character. So a lot of schools in inner Tokyo will have activities where students will have a chance to interact with nature.
We grow things such as hot peppers, tomatoes and aubergine and many others, and water them in periods 4 and 5.
水をあげたりしてます。
学年が一つずつ。
Every year has a garden, and we just saw some sweet potatoes. Those were from the second grade's garden. They planted the set just before the summer, and just happened to harvest them today. They will now make a wreath out of sweet potato vines. Other years also have their own projects.
Caring for nature extends to keeping school pets too. Most schools keep animals of some sort to help cultivate a respect for living things.
委員会っていうのがあって、その中で
We have committees, and within that we have the keeping committee, which takes care of the rabbits. Within our committee, we take responsibility to divide the duties and allot days to care for the animals.
曜日など決めてます。それは全学年からの人気が高い。
It's a very popular animal among children of all ages. Also, the rabbit is happy to eat the leftover vegetables from the school lunch.
It is hoped that children learn to appreciate how precious life is by taking care of animals and plants.
そういうね、植物を育てたりすることは
Nurturing plants is to cherish a life. Therefore, it has a link to fostering the spirit of consideration and sympathy. We hope for great results from this, and that it will make the children into kind and caring people.
そういうことを望んでますね。
As Japan develops in the 21st century, this desire to encourage kindness and a sense of community in the next generation is part of the Ministry of Education's strategic vision. It has sent booklets to all elementary and junior high schools for use in moral education lessons. They're designed to help youngsters to care more about nature, their families, and their communities. And for teachers, responsibility for cultivating a greater sense of morality and citizenship in the young is strongly felt.
日本の学校どこも
It is every Japanese school's basic objective to harmonize the balance of the mind, the heart, and the body.
地徳体、要するに頭と
Among the head, the heart, and the body, the heart is presently the most troubled area. Therefore, the education of the heart is very important in schools.
ですからどこの学校でも極めて大事にやってます。
ネイゴの花が咲き風を呼び嵐が来た繰り返
heart is cut or cracked or broken, don't clutch it. Let the wound lie open.
We're all one here. We live as one group of people. And this is going to affect a lot of people right through the country, making them scared of something they shouldn't be.
Let the wind from the good old sea blow in, bathe the wound in salt, and let it sting. Let a stray dog lick it, let a bird lean in the hole and sing a simple song like a tiny bell, and let it ring.
Just witnessing the floral tributes, they're an expression of love and humanity. So the expression, the powerful expression of humanity all around New Zealand, all around the world, is my sense of hope.
Just bringing along some flowers, having a look, it's in a way it's something to do for those of us who don't know what to do right now. Like you say, in the way that turns to hope.
Let it go and let it out. Let it all unravel. Let it free, and it can be a path on which to travel.
Can I begin by thanking all of you for that incredible welcome as we came to visit with you today, and I want to acknowledge your principal for giving us the chance to come and meet with you, to hear a little bit about what it has been like for you since Friday, particularly given that you have lost students and you have lost friends. I bring with me today the support of a whole bunch of New Zealanders who want to know that for those who have lost or who have friends they've lost, that you have their support, and you will have seen that, I think. But you would have also felt, I'm sure, that in these times it's hard to know sometimes how to express how you're feeling. And one of the messages that I want to share to our young people in particular, it is okay to grieve. It is okay to ask for help, even if you weren't directly affected. Can really prepare themselves for those moments. But it's fair to say I happen to be, though, the Prime Minister of a particularly peaceful nation, an inclusive nation, a place where 200 ethnicities and 160 languages are spoken. We pride ourselves on being well known as a welcoming place. In fact, the terrorists who brought this act to New Zealand chose us for this terrorist act because we are all of those things. And so shock was of course my immediate reaction. You know, that how could this happen here to us and to this community?
I mean, you're pushing for tighter gun controls and you want to do it as fast as possible.
Yes.
Where are the gaps? What are the loopholes that need to be plugged to prevent this kind of thing happening?
One is very obvious, and that is the availability of military-style semi-automatic weapons in New Zealand. And yes, we have gun use for legitimate purposes, particularly in our rural community, but my view is that they will absolutely support us in tackling the availability of weapons that are very obviously designed to take lives.
Is the debate on immigration and migration here perhaps fostering an atmosphere where those abhorrent ideas can flourish? We know that your own party, the Labour Party, wants curbs on immigration.
I would push. I'm going to stop you there for a moment.
Okay, well, continue.
Our announcements that we've made since that we've been in office, probably the most notable of which has been our increase in the refugee quota and accepting in those who need to seek refuge, particularly in the wake of conflicts that are leaving people without safety of a permanent home. We are a welcoming country. We have seen elements of our system where there have been exploitation against migrants who have come here, and including in our education system. And yes, we have sought to weed that out, but I utterly reject the idea that in any way, in trying to ensure that we have a system that looks after those who choose to call New Zealand home, that we have perpetuated an environment where this kind of ideology can exist. I utterly reject it.
I'm talking about the suggestion that there has been a burden on the social services in this country, on housing, as a result of immigration. As a result, your party has called for cuts in immigration. You're in coalition with the New Zealand First Party, where the leader has made it clear that for him, immigration is about ethnicity and race. What I'm saying is the rhetoric at a political level in this country could be seen to be fostering, in the minds of some, potentially a minority, but in the minds of some, the kinds of views that can lead to something terrible.
And again, as I say, one of the most recent and most significant, probably the most significant announcement that we have made in office since we have been a government in the space of immigration has been an increase in the number of refugees that we welcome into New Zealand. I make that point because I utterly disagree with the proposition you're putting to me, and all I can ask is that you actually ask New Zealanders whether or not you think that's a political environment here.
Well, I mean, I have been talking to obviously a lot of Muslim families since I've been here, and one family, one member did say to me that they do feel a chill in the air, that there is a rising level of fear, and he was saying specifically among the women within his family, as a result of what's happened. Is that something that must concern you?
Oh, absolutely. I want everyone who calls New Zealand home, who has made New Zealand their home, whatever their ethnicity or faith, to feel safe. I feel that particularly acutely when it comes to women and children. You know, when I visited the mosque in Wellington, a child yelled out to me as I was walking away, "Prime Minister, are we safe now?" That is my job, is to ensure the safety of those from all walks of life who call New Zealand home, and it is their home. And that is now my role in the coming days, months, weeks, years, however I'm in the privilege of this office, is to ensure that they feel safe and secure and they know this is their home.
The vast majority of Muslims that we spoke to agree with that.
Yes.
No question.
Yes. But I absolutely accept, undoubtedly, in the wake of something so horrific, such a blatant targeting of one community, undoubtedly that has created that sentiment, that feeling of a lack of security. You know, I'm of course pleased that our police have responded and are present during the hours of worship for our mosques, and they will maintain that presence for some time. But my job is to continue to rebuild their faith in that safety, and that's a job for all New Zealanders, to provide that sense of security, and that includes confronting any racism wherever it may exist.
How concerned are you of a rising tide of white nationalism in New Zealand. How bad is that situation getting, do you think?
My call would be a global one. You know, I'm very clear here to make the distinction that yes, this was an Australian citizen, but that is not to say that we do not have ideology in New Zealand that would be an affront to the majority of New Zealanders, that would be utterly rejected by the majority, the vast majority of New Zealanders. But we still have a responsibility to weed it out where it exists and make sure that we never create an environment where it can flourish. But I would make that a global call. You know, what New Zealand experienced here was violence brought against us by someone who grew up and learnt their ideology somewhere else. So actually, if we want to make sure that globally we are a safe and tolerant and inclusive world, we cannot think about this in terms of boundaries. And that's the kind of leadership I think we need to see on this issue.
How do you bring this community back together?
You know, I would first acknowledge that actually that this was a community that was, by and large, it was already together. My job is to ensure it's not shattered apart.
And you're convinced you can succeed in that?
Absolutely, because that's what New Zealand is.
Okay. Prime Minister, thank you.
Thank you.
During the preparation of my talk, I had a powerful dream. In my dream, I was given a priceless gift by an enlightened being, and she radiated love and wisdom. The gift was a beautiful wooden bowl. It was forged by master craftsmen from the timber of an ancient tree. They couldn't see that the bowl was cracked and broken. When she gave me this gift, she said, "See, it is perfectly broken." This image haunted me. At the far edges of my consciousness was a sense that it held a profound truth. Maybe it held the answer to my 12-year mission to build a better world. Maybe it could inspire all of us to become healers. My quest began one very ordinary Monday morning in 2004. I was at work at the hospital. The phone rang and my world collapsed. I didn't recognize the voice of my wife on the phone. It shook so much with fright. Our daughter had crashed her car and was critically injured and was being rushed to hospital with critical injuries. I tore across the city to join Meredith in the waiting room of the trauma unit, not knowing if Chloe was dead or alive. I felt a profound sense of dislocation. As a doctor, the hospital is a familiar and reassuring place. On that day, it felt alien and horrible and threatening because I had the different role of very frightened parent of a critically injured child. Chloe was alive. She had broken her neck and her back. After 3 months of long treatment in hospital, she made a good recovery from her physical injuries. I'm happy to say the quality of clinical care was excellent, and we're profoundly grateful to the many health professionals who cared for her. What made me angry was how Chloe was treated as a human being. She spent those 100 days in hospital tied down to a hospital bed in spinal traction with her head completely immobilized. This was her only view of the world. It's the ceiling of a hospital room. Can you imagine staring at this ceiling for 100 days and nights? You can't see a television or read a book or a magazine or see out the window or even see the faces of nurses who come in and touch you. You have no means to occupy yourself. I had believed that the hospital would rapidly do a disability assessment and provide Chloe with all the aid she needed to help maintain her independence, her dignity, and her emotional well-being for those long months. And I thought that a compassionate system would ensure that she had tasty, nutritious food every day and prompt attention to pain and suffering. But no, I was wrong. It turns out those human elements of caring are simply not a priority in our overbusy hospitals. Healthcare is full of really kind and caring doctors and nurses, but the system itself can be callous. We do make efficient the treatment of disease, but so often we forget the human needs of our patients. With all our technology and frenetic pace of working, hospitals have become more like an industrial production line than a place of healing. At the time of Chloe's accident, I was a senior medical specialist and a healthcare leader. Can you imagine how impotent you would feel with all that power and authority, and yet helpless to prevent the suffering of your own daughter? Out of my anger and frustration grew a radical commitment. I began a long quest to try to bring more humanity and compassion into healthcare. As I deepened my commitment, I was joined by my wife Meredith. We both quit our jobs, we sold our house, and we founded a new organization called Hearts in Healthcare. I wrote a book, we built a website, and we reached out to like-minded health professionals. Over the years, we have done hundreds of presentations all around the world in many different countries. For the first 10 years of campaigning, my own medical colleagues pretty much ignored our work. I felt like a very small, lonely voice in the wilderness. Meredith and I struggled to create change, and our library of books on how to be a social activist didn't help much at all. But through many trials and errors, we gradually found ways to catalyze a movement that's now inspiring health professionals all around the world. At this point, I'd like to share with you the 5 biggest mistakes we made and the lessons we learned from those. And I'm going to build up a picture, and you might be able to spot the pattern that eluded us for so long. In the beginning, I mistook my cause for a moral crusade. I felt very angry about uncaring managers and greedy doctors, and I wanted to restore the right values in healthcare. But every time I demonized those I was trying to influence, I just created resistance. We had to remind ourselves that non-judgment is a critical part of compassion. Eventually, I let go of my anger. That's really hard for social activists because we are driven by a sense of moral outrage. But on the days I remember not to judge and criticize, then more people start listening. I also became an evangelist, trying to persuade people through impassioned argument backed up by research. But people are deeply invested in their own worldviews, and we found that logic and evidence didn't help our cause very much. Could I give up the need to be right? The day that Meredith and I chose non-persuasion, we became dramatically more effective. I found my greatest power was actually vulnerability, when I dared to expose my own wounds and fears and mistakes. Then we started to open hearts and minds. Our third mistake was to cast ourselves as experts on compassion. We vividly remember being confronted by a group of nurses who asked us cynically, "I suppose you're just here to teach us what we've only been doing for the last 30 years. We had to remind ourselves that actually every human being has the capacity for compassion. The nurses and doctors chose their careers because they care. Our job wasn't to teach compassion, it was to draw out the wisdom that was already present in the room. Health professionals told us stories about how they managed to reconnect to the heart of their practice and provide care and compassion and love to their patients. These stories, shared among peers, were far more powerful than any expert advice we could give. Our fourth mistake, there are a lot of them, our fourth mistake
was to apply business rules to our work. In the beginning, we offered a range of programs, courses, and workshops in return for money. But you know what? Compassion and healing don't live in a transactional world of products and fees. And the way we were doing our work and the values we're trying to promote felt as if they were kind of in conflict. So now we do our work in a different way. We give away all of our materials. We no longer quote a fee. We simply promise to serve our clients to the best of our ability, and then we ask for a donation in support of our work. The day we took that scary leap of faith, we found ourselves truly humbled by the generosity of the world. My fifth mistake was to be like a doctor, seeking the pathology in the sick system. As a result, I saw so many things that were wrong. But Meredith and I found out that when we focused on problems, people would just blame each other, and pretty soon they feel powerless to change anything at all. We wondered, could we ask better questions? So now we invite health professionals and patients to share their very best stories of healing connection. And we were inspired by what emerged. Powerful narratives of courage, compassion, and healing. These new strategies have made us much more successful in our work. My own medical colleagues now invite me to speak at their scientific meetings. My book is being translated by volunteers into different foreign languages, igniting movements in those countries. There's an entire city in the USA that has embraced our work. I have beautiful messages of support from that city today. There's even now a new scientific, peer-reviewed Journal of Compassionate Healthcare, and I'm really honored to be on the editorial board. As we reflected deeply on our new success, we finally spotted a profound pattern. We noticed that all of the strategies that didn't work involved separation, and all of the strategies that do work involve connection. When we declare the moral righteousness of our position and judge others, we stand apart. When we try to persuade, we create resistance. When we proclaim ourselves to be the experts, we call others ignorant. When we turn our gifts and talents into business products, we separate buyer from seller. When we always fight against what is wrong, we draw up the battle lines. Every action that separates us defeats our purpose of building a better world. But every action that connects us has the power to transform. I began to see meaningful parallels between my role leading change in healthcare and my role as a doctor forging healing relationships with my patients. I uncovered amazing research that actually proved that if I made a compassionate human connection to my patients, they actually boosted their immune system and enhanced tissue healing and dampened down dangerous stress responses and eased their pain and recovered more quickly. And the research tells us that compassionate caring is as powerful as many of the drugs we use. I'd always conceived of patients as an overwhelming burden of demand on our overstretched services. Now I realized they could be the most abundant source of health, healing, and well-being. In our work in healthcare together, we found the exact same thing: a wealth of knowledge, skills, courage, compassion, and wisdom. The new world we were trying to build was already in the room, just waiting to be uncovered. You know, I think many of the problems in the world are just like that. Whatever your cause, whether you're fighting against climate change, or poverty, or violence in our communities, I've come to believe that our protests, fights, and campaigns are ultimately counterproductive because they serve only to separate us even more. So what do we do now? Do we just give up? My patients have taught me the answer. As a doctor, I'm sometimes confronted by patients who are broken, who have no hope. Then my medicines are useless. Compassion calls me to sit with those patients sometimes in their darkest places and not turn away. When I dare to hold that sacred space with my patient, I see them crack open and begin a journey of healing. I witness miracles. If we can learn to take this gift of brokenness into our hearts, we hear the calling of compassion and we soften ourselves to be more vulnerable and humble and generous. And then we no longer need to battle to fight or to fix all the problems of the world out there, because everything we need is already present right here. When we let go of our battles, we open a space for healing that's full of ease and light. Will you receive this gift? It's perfectly broken. Thank you.
me be here to talk today. Last year I went to Mozambique with Fish Films to help film a documentary on the work that Mission Educate was doing in Mozambique. It was there that I really understood that the impact compassion can have on a society. I came back with a clear drive to help raise awareness and funds for the work that they were doing. My dream is to bring sanitation, education and medication to developing countries, so I'm a huge believer in the golden rule of do unto others. So I hope you all have an amazing International Golden Rule Day, and I hope you also enjoy the film. My name's Katura Halliday. I live on the Gold Coast in Australia, and I go to All Saints Anglican School in Merrimack. My favourite core subject would be history, then probably English, maths and then science. My favourite subject overall would definitely be art. I've been doing art ever since I can remember. Just to get into the zone where you're painting or drawing is really amazing. My future, I really want to create a mobile service that brings sanitation, education and medication to developing countries and just goes to a really poor region that really needs help and just camps out there for a year or two. I found out that it costs $1,050 to put a student through years 10, 11 and 12, so I thought, well, I'd try and raise that, and I've raised twice that. I've raised $2,100, and with that I'm putting 2 students through years 10, 11 and 12. I really want to know what it is like over there so I can come back and show everyone.
Mozambique. Today is Monday and we're going to visit the school, so very excited about that.
My name is Alfred Nkube. I'm the principal of this school, King of Kings School. In Portuguese, it's Escola Rei dos Reis. King of Kings is in the second capital city in Mozambique, which is Beira, in a township called Manga. Manga, in Portuguese, it means mango. The school was built with the intention of offering education to the people within this community who could not afford to go to school.
My highlights of today were probably meeting Hortensia and Celia, which are the 2 girls that we're helping put through years 10, 11 and 12. It was really good to talk to them and just to see what their story was, which was really eye-opening.
My name is Celia and I hold the 15 da disciplina gosta de português e história. Quero ser juíza para julgar aqueles que fazem mal à humanidade.
My name's Jill Lovell and I'm from Geelong, Australia. I've lived in Mozambique for about 17 years now. Since I first came, we've seen a lot of changes economically. There's a lot more cars on the road, a lot more houses built of bricks rather than of mud and sticks, and there's a lot more interest in education. Mozambique, when I came in 2001, was the poorest country in the world, and now it's about 5th or 6th from the bottom. It's still, got a long way to go, but it's on the way up. So it's certainly a place with a lot of need.
The main problem that we have in Mozambique is the problem of self-esteem. People, they always think they can't make it in life because they are born from poor families, they are from a poor country, a poor community. But when they come to schools like our school, our objective is to open their minds and give them hope and say, hey, you can make it.
In the younger classrooms, I've been doing art activities, like for the preppies to grade 3, I was doing watercolour or little you colour in fish with pieces of paper. But as soon as I got to grade 4, I started drawing things that they liked so I could kind of get to know the kids in the classroom. I love art, so drawing and painting. Yes. I'm from Australia. This here is my family, and this is the Australian flag. When I was helping this little kid the other day with his art, I really realised that they don't have an option at all to get what they need to pursue their dreams. He wouldn't have been able to get proper art supplies, proper paper, proper pencils, and that makes it really hard to produce good art. Because he doesn't have the access to that, he will never be able to get up there and show the world what he can do. Because just if he's not, like if you don't have the blocks to build a house, you can't build the house. It's simple as that.
Earlier today we were interviewing one of our students, Celia, and we asked her a basic question of why she wants to be a judge when she grows up, and she just started to cry. And you can see that people have suffered a lot, you know, people have been through a lot of challenges, and she said the reason she wants to be a judge is to bring justice to people that have had bad things happen to them. And even at a young age of 15, there's no doubt that bad things have happened to her. You know, we encounter a lot of children, especially young girls, who have had really challenging situations in life, a lot of abuse and a lot of loss of family members and people that they love. You know, they have to face death and sickness and abuse all the time.
When I went and visited the 6 girls from the schools and we went to their houses to see them, I was just absolutely blown away by how much every family gave up and how much they worked and how hard they wanted this for their children to go to school.
I think poverty puts so much pressure on someone that they can't see tomorrow, they can't see a way out, and so they have to start making, I don't even know if they're a choice, they have to start doing things that they would never do if they had a choice. So I think it just puts a lot of pressure on people, it burdens them, it makes them feel hopeless and worthless. I can't even feed my own family, who am I, what can I do, I'm nothing. It really cuts people's dignity. Here we also see that it's not just one person living in poverty, it's a person with a lot of children or with elderly parents, or it's an uncle who's taken in, 3 extra children when he's already got 4, and it's just a big burden to people.
De uma forma antagônica, e ao mesmo tempo que são chamados assim, grandes
I came to Africa because I really believe that education is a key factor in helping developing nations, and I really wanted to be a part of that.
It's really important, if you want to take this country forward, that we offer quality education so that we can have quality leaders in the future. And those quality leaders are the ones who are going to take Mozambique to a different stage in the world.
The Bible says that we'll always have the poor with us, but I'd like to think that if people would actually act and do something rather than just hashtag the phrase or like it online, but actually, step out the door and look who is my neighbour and who can I be helping rather than what do I need for myself today, then I think we could definitely see changes in communities all over the world.
I don't need everything that I have at home. I've learned how little a person really needs to survive, and I've learned what they really need to thrive. And there is a big difference between surviving and thriving.
Journey of discovery ahead, sea of hellos and goodbyes. Joy and sorrow will collide, no escape. We will ache, the contracts unwind. Somehow we will find way through the river, and we'll get to the other side alive. All these rivers we must cross, bruised by betrayal, broken trust. Higher lessons for the two of us. We will learn and we'll shine, and we'll grieve the people leaving us behind. We'll be forced to grow.